Thursday, January 20th edition of the Carolina Weather Video. I'm meteorologist Matthew East. A lot on our plate to talk about. First of all, what a great day yesterday. Beautiful. Many Piedmont spots were able to get up close to 60, and if you weren't up to 60, you were at least in the mid to upper 50s. It's a beautiful, beautiful Wednesday afternoon, but I mentioned that it would not last long, and it won't. Today will be cooler, and then it's going to be significantly colder and blustery tomorrow. Now, let me start you off with the radar imagery, and most of that precipitation you see on the radar is in the form of snow this morning. It's been snowing in Tulsa, St. Louis, some light snow around Indianapolis and Louisville. And here are the watch and warning products, all the white counties. Those are some type of snow or winter weather advisory and some winter storm warnings in this mix as well. As this next system moves eastward. Here's the overall setup this morning. What you have is an area of low pressure that's developing right about there, and that'll scoot in that general direction. Another area of low pressure heads up like this, but the general idea is some snow in that corridor. I'll show you that on the modeling here in just a second. Temperatures. Pretty cold in the northern plains, into the Great Lakes region. There's some sub-zero air, a lot of single-digit temperatures. And that cold air is moving our way. Here's the upper air chart today, kind of what's driving that precipitation. Pretty decent upper level trough. And remember back the previous weekend, you had some of this energy trying to hang back, and that wound up producing winter precip around our area. That's obviously not the case. This is going to be kind of one consolidated trough coming through. So here's the overall setup. Snow, again, Little Rock, spreading into Memphis with time today. Let's go 6 hours later. This is precip from 1 to 7 o'clock in the evening. Now, the one thing to note here is this is not going to be a huge winter storm for places like Little Rock, Memphis, and Nashville. The moisture is just too limited. But there'll be snow on the ground in a number of those places through Tennessee into North Mississippi, probably North Alabama, much of Arkansas and Kentucky, Missouri as well, and of course that spreads into the Ohio Valley. Let's go 6 hours later as that system moves into our area here. When I say our area, I mean the Carolinas. The moisture really dries up once you get outside the mountains. The mountains will see a few inches of snow out of this, but the Piedmont, maybe a loose flurry or sprinkle tonight, but that's going to be about it. The mountains chew up most of the remaining moisture. There we are, 7 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, and finally 1 p.m. tomorrow. Cold air advection underway, so it's going to be a day tomorrow with blustery northwesterly winds and some Piedmont spots staying shy of 40 all day. If you do get to 40, that'll be about it. It's going to be a cold, blustery day. Over the weekend, lows dipping back down into the lower 20s and upper teens. And here we are Saturday afternoon. Most of the modeling has come to this scenario of popping a little low-pressure area close to the coast, and it is conceivable areas very close to the coast could get a little snow later Saturday into Saturday evening. But the trend has been for most of the better moisture to remain just offshore. But it's a close call for coastal parts of the Carolinas. Sunday, pretty quiet day. Look at the Arctic high pressure building through the Great Lakes, and that's going to situate itself right here over the New England states in a perfect wedging position by Monday. So let's go out to Monday. The GFS remains the quickest of any of the modeling with this in terms of the precip moving in. But all modeling is indicating the same basic scenario. A high pressure, give or take some strength, about 1036 millibars. It settles over the New England states, and you get that pronounced wedging down the eastern slopes of the mountains. At the same time, a relatively weak low pressure develops in the northern Gulf. Again, this is 1 o'clock in the afternoon Monday, so the GFS brings this precipitation in pretty early in the day. And there we are, 1 to 7 o'clock's precip in the afternoon and evening on Monday. We head into the evening hours, into the overnight hours, and the GFS pulls that system away. Now, again, the GFS is one of the quicker models with this. Let's go to the Canadian. This is the precip from 7 p.m. Monday to 7 a.m. Tuesday. And again, the same basic concepts in play. High pressure draining down the eastern side of the mountains. Low pressure developing from the northern Gulf to near the Carolina coast. There you go. That's the precip during the day Tuesday. So the Canadian a little slower. And finally, this turns into a pretty decent winter storm for the New England states as well. Let's go to the European. This is the precip from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. Tuesday, and that's when the precipitation begins across much of the Carolinas. And there you go. This is 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. Tuesday's precip. Again, this time around, the European a little weaker with the cold air. Oop, that's not the right drawing. A little weaker with the cold air damming signature than some of the other modeling, but it's still there. And then that low develops along the coast, and the European actually then cranks some nice backside snow here for much of the region as we get into late Tuesday and Tuesday evening. So the European is definitely slower, and that does turn into a big-time winter storm for the New England states. And finally, one more model to show you. This is the UK Met. 7 o'clock in the evening Tuesday. Low pressure in the Gulf, high pressure in the New England states. Very pronounced cold air damming signature. We go 24 hours later. Tuesday evening, low pressure near the South Carolina and Georgia coast. High pressure is pushed offshore the New England states, but still a lot of lingering cold air damming, and most of the precipits probably occurred by that point anyway. All right, so what do we take from all this? Really, I have no changes. The potential is still very much alive for a winter storm in parts of the region. For the Carolinas, we're talking the window of opportunity opening anytime from a little Monday afternoon, we'll say, through Monday night, and then lingering through a good chunk of Tuesday, depending on which timing is correct. And this is one of the cold air damming scenarios for North Carolina in the damming areas. This could very well be a snow transitioning to a sleet or freezing rain scenario. The further south you go into the upstate, maybe northeast Georgia, you get it a little bit more dicey in terms of ice issues. But anyway, this is all specifics. It's far too early to be throwing that out there anyway. I'll just broad brush it right now and say that really the potential for a winter weather event from Monday into Tuesday next week for much of the region, especially the cold air damming regions, roughly I-85 north and west, that potential is very much alive, and we'll keep refining this forecast. A couple more panels for you, looking longer term past that storm system early next week. This is the day 8 to 10 mean, European model on the left, GFS on the right, and again you're looking at that P&A ridging out west, big trough in the eastern part of the country. System's trying to undercut that ridge. Looks kind of cold and unsettled, and boy, the GFS on the 0Z run went nuts with the cold by the end of next week. This is Friday evening. That is a big-time shot of cold air. Another one up here in Canada waiting to plunge southeastward after that. And here's the P&A index forecast to stay on the positive side right into early February. So it looks like cold more often than not. We'll see about storminess. But definitely looks, at least through the end of January into early February, cold more often than not. All right, that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching the video and the blog, and I'll keep it up to date for you as we head on through the next several days. Everyone have a great day, and God bless.